So we currently have 11 people, besides, not counting us.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and just get started, at least with intros, and then that way, if anybody else comes in, Maureen, you can let him in while we're chatting. So everybody who's here, thank you so much for giving a little bit of your time and attention to us. I'm excited because Maureen is a sweet friend who I think has taught me a lot, and more is, taught from just watching someone's journey, and I have a lot of respect for people who practice what they preach. And so this is just an introduction to one way that we can make sure that we're doing what we can to be healthy moms, women, wives, athletes, whatever we are. And there's a lot of different ways we can do that. But what has helped me personally is transitioning from the typical American diet, which is processed, fried, a lot of fast food, to whole food, plant-based diet. And there are some misconceptions, and we want to make sure that we address some of those tonight. But I can tell you that the people that I've spoken to who have also done this have just been feeling amazing. And that's what we want for everybody here tonight, is just to make small changes that are sustainable so that you can move towards a better, healthy lifestyle. So let's see. So I'll just give you a little rundown of how we're going to do this tonight. Maureen's going to just share with us her health journey and what led her to want to become certified in nutrition counseling so that she can help others. And then our friend Jody is also going to share how this has helped her. And then I'm just going to give some actionable steps, how everybody who would like to try to implement some of these things in their life, they can use very simple, inexpensive ways to make those small changes. So I have a lot of things here to show you. I hope it's not overwhelming. I'm actually cooking right now. So if I'm distracted and walk away, that's why, because I have things cooking. That's why I'm in my kitchen. But so Maureen, do you want to go ahead and share with us?
Certainly.
What plant-based has meant to you?
Absolutely. Thank you. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay. So I just want to say we are not doctors, obviously. And I will tell you that doctors don't know a lot about nutrition, too. They're just not taught that in medical school. So I am a certified health and wellness coach, and I'm a certified holistic nutritionist. So I've been studying that for the past, since COVID hit. So my interest has always been there. Like so many of us, my hormones were crazy, and when I was 43, I stopped losing weight, and I started putting on pounds, and I could not get it off. Whereas before that, I could usually get it off, just change a few things here and there. But I could not get the weight off, and I never experienced that in my life. So, they didn't know I couldn't find answers anywhere. I looked everywhere, and I tried every diet. Clean eating, which helped. Clean eating helped. For a while, and then I did everything. I did the keto thing. I lost a ton of weight fast. That just wasn't sustainable, and honestly, it's very unhealthy because you're basically eating a lot of fat, and that's processed. And I didn't know that. I didn't know anything. My husband experienced a heart issue back in 2019, and I had actually run into the plant-based whole food back then when I was learning about different ways to eat. And I did try it for a while, but it was considered vegan, and I was like, it was very off-putting to me because vegan, I don't like to use that term at all. Number one, vegan is not whole food plant-based. Veganism, you can eat Oreos and be vegan. So, and I would definitely do that. Those were my favorite. So, you can, let me let somebody in. I'm so sorry. So it was a put off. There was a lot of judgment, and I felt a lot of judgment, and that's not what this is about at all. This is not about judgment in any way or form. This is about doing the best you can. Plant-based whole food, even 80% of the time, you'll see wonderful changes in your life and in your health. When I was on keto, my cholesterol was good and bad, was over the top, and now today it's great. So that's a common question, is around carbs. And carbs, if you're eating plant-based whole food, you get so much fiber with the carbs that it's not an issue. Whereas when you're eating the ketogenic diet, you are eating a lot of fat, and you're actually losing water weight. You're not losing, it's not sustainable, and it will come back within the year if you can't maintain it, and most people can't. They don't have a lot of case studies on it at this point in time. But I'm about evidence-based. I'm about what PubMed is publishing, that you can prove. If anyone comes to me and says, I want to know about this, I will get you all the information by specialists that have evidence to back it up, to show you. Because it's not about my opinion, it's not about that. It's about what works. So as I was saying before I got off topic, so I did come across this diet before, and to me it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. It's very sustainable. The biggest challenge for me, for example, would probably be my husband, because he's not interested in it. But I did get interested in it because he had heart issues. So I was trying to talk him into doing this, but he won't really, he's not interested. So I do what I can when I can. I tried tricking him a few times, but he caught on to me. And he's now very, very weary, so I have to, be careful. I can't change people. I can only change myself. So all I can be is a positive example. And I'm an athlete. I'm so plant-based athlete. It works. You can do it. It's very, very easy. It's very sustainable. It's delicious. There's wonderful food that you can choose from. But so I went through all this process, decided when I stopped working because of COVID that I was going to pursue, my desire is to help people. Ultimately, I just want to help people. And I've always been so interested in diets and fitness and nutrition that I said, let me just study this and get some certifications so I can help people, and I would never try to help anybody if I didn't have the education to back it up. So, that's very important to me. I always say that nothing comes from me, because nothing is original in this world. It always came from someone before you, but I can always find any information that you need. Like I coach Jody on her journey in my internship. So if she wanted a recipe, you can make anything plant-based. Now it's not going to taste the same, but your tastes change. Everything changes about the way you taste food. And it's awesome. I love that part of it. Like if I even try, I'm not eating sugar at all. That's kind of a drug to me, honestly. I can't go near sugar because I'll have a very difficult time putting it down. So I'm very, very mindful of sugar. And of course it's processed. So I will eat dates. I will eat healthy sugar, dates and maple syrup. And, and you can make recipes with those as well. So, you can always find something else to replace something you're afraid of losing. I think I'm rambling and totally off topic, so.
No, No, you're not. No, you're not, Maureen. So can you tell everybody exactly what the credential that you hold and what
sure.
that means for people who want to be coached like Jody?
Oh, certainly. What do you mean what it means? It just means I can coach you, or...
But what does it mean to be coached? Like, how did you help her make sure that she was on the right track? I think a lot of people coming to this tonight might be feeling like they just don't know where to start. So what would it look like if you were able to, when you say help someone, just, just give an overview of what that means?
Oh, certainly. We would talk weekly and communicate as much as necessary. I gave her food plans. I gave her, and I have the attachments. Did you post those in the group by chance? I didn't see.
I did not post the attachments yet. I think after the event is over, we'll do a summary with all of the attachments, and then everybody can go ahead and download those, and then they can contact you if they want additional.
Yes, absolutely. I have basic information for everyone. I organized some documents, which is like a shopping list and foods to look for, all of that. So I was certified through American Fitness Professionals and Associates for both of my credentials. Insofar as coaching, I asked for volunteers, and Jody and Kathy, who's not here today, signed up, and I coached them both. I would meet with them weekly, and we would go over, everything. They would send me what they ate for the day to help them. And if that is helpful for you, that's great. I think that if you're eating plant-based whole food, I think to start, it's a good idea. Absolutely. Did you feel it was helpful for you, Jody, to do that?
Yes. For me, going completely plant-based for that first 28 days was extremely helpful.
Yeah, and even if it's not going plant-based, say you just want to try no sugar, or if you want to try eating 2 meals with meat a week and no other meals with meat, and also, that type of thing. If you're not ready to say, hey, I'm going to do this 80% of the time, the problem is if you say 80% of the time, you're not ready to do it to 80% of the time, you could fall backward, and stop doing it altogether. So it offers support. There's a Facebook group for support, but I'm available for support literally all the time, whenever I'm needed. Right now, I'm not going to say that's always going to be the case, but I will, it's challenging, and it's to make any change is challenging, especially with our diets. For anyone, you have to really be there. You have to be ready, willing, kind of be at a bottom. But I do have some documents, and I need to pull them up here for myself. I apologize. So that will help you guys to start out.
It is especially challenging when you're not the only one living in the household.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So Jody, share with us, if you wouldn't mind, how going plant-based has helped you, and then how you were able to make sure that your household was able to function, meal planning, prepping, all of that, was how you were successful, because you were very, very transparent in Maureen's Facebook page, Running with Bulldogs, and I had a lot of great ideas that you shared that I have tucked away and have used myself, and I think you've done a great job of being an example. So can you just share with everybody how that has helped, or how you have been able to implement that in your home?
Sure. I'll just kind of start off with, I work full-time in cardiac rehab as a nurse. And so I do a lot. I talk with my patients a lot about things that are going on in their lives and in my life. And so my patients kind of, I would tell them I was eating whole foods, plant-based, and a big question, living up in northern Minnesota where we've got a lot of deer hunters, a lot of fishermen, why are you not eating meat? Why did you decide to do this? And I said, this is going to be the most ridiculous answer, but it's the truth. That I had listened to a podcast, and the lady doing the podcast, Claire Bartholomew, is plant-based, and she had some people on her podcast. She doesn't push it at all, but she had some people on her podcast that were kind of promoting a book that they were writing. And one is a weightlifter, a bodybuilder who's plant-based, and one is an ultra marathon runner who's plant-based. And one of the things that they said was how they got faster and they got stronger being plant-based. And so my whole reason was really to try to get faster as a runner, which seems utterly ridiculous. But, and then Maureen was asking for, if anybody wanted to be coached. And so I was like, hey, that would be great. And I was determined to be her best student.
You were.
And so I went 100% in, which meant the first week I basically ate salads because that's probably the easiest thing. And I cooked separate meals for my family. And then I just started transitioning into just making one meal and maybe adding some meat on the side or something like that. And then gradually into basically now mostly I'm cooking plant-based and my family's eating it along with me. But as time went on, one of the things with being coached is I was measuring myself and weighing myself weekly. And I lost, I should have brought that sheet up with me, but I believe it was 13 centimeters total. It's in the bathroom in that drawer. And about 10 pounds in 28 days, which I thought was just fabulous. I was really happy with that. And I felt so good. A couple weeks after that 28-day mark, we went out to visit my sister-in-law in Ohio, and she had asked me, what would you like me to make for you? And I don't like putting people out, so I told her, I said, just make what you're going to make. I will eat whatever. And I did. I had pulled pork, and I had, salmon and things like that with everybody else. After that weekend, I felt crummy. I just felt bloated and terrible. And I went back to Whole Foods plant-based, and within 3 days, I was good to go again. Oh, my daughter just ran and grabbed that sheet for me. And it looks like in that 28 days, I lost meters. So I guess more than I thought. And I lost, it was 8.6 pounds. So, but it didn't stop there because I've continued to lose, and I started that. I probably lost now. I haven't measured myself again. And I cut 8 minutes off my half marathon PR.
Yeah. I love that profile picture you just posted, Jody. The look on your face of like pure elation was amazing.
Oh.
So,
are you still there?
hold on.
Oh, thank you. And that was not
Yeah.
my PR race. Friend Tammy Onseth, and okay, that was one that I ran with my friend Tammy Onseth, and she, I just ran it with her, and so we just took our time and had fun with it.
I know. And you look like you were just enjoying life, and I loved that.
It was great. It was great.
Awesome.
But another side note is a lot of people aren't aware that I have had, there's a medical condition I have called essential thrombocythemia. I was diagnosed with that when I was pregnant with my daughter, Michelle, who is almost 24 years old. And what essential thrombocythemia is it's a chronic blood cancer where my platelet count goes extremely high. And essential means they don't know why. And the thrombocythemia means high platelet count. So basically, over the course of that, about 24 and a half years now, is I have gone from about, normal platelet count is 150,000 to 450,000. And when I was diagnosed, I was 900,000 for my platelet count. It did go up to 1.6 million at one point. And at that time, then my doctor had put me on, my oncologist put me on an oral chemo medication. And it brought my platelet count down to probably about 1 million. And maybe it would have been more, but I refused to keep increasing the dose through reasoning that different research I had done that basically led me to believe that I did not need that medication. And so I didn't go off of it because I was prescribed it, but my doctor wouldn't take me off of it either. So I did go see a specialist down at Rochester Mayo here in Minnesota he only deals with essential thrombocythemia, and that's what his research and everything is on. So he did take me off of it. At that point, I was at 1.2 million on my platelet count. In the 2 years after I was taken off of the chemo, I bounced between 1.3 and 1.4 million on my platelet count. Since I became plant-based, I did have my platelet count checked probably about a month or so ago, and I'm 1.1 million. Now, I don't know yet that is specifically because of being plant-based, although I have a strong feeling it is. But I'm not going to notify Dr. Teferi until I have a follow-up. I'm going to get my platelet count checked again in probably December. And if it drops again, then I'll know it's the Whole Foods plant-based meal plan that's helping it come down. And then I'm going to notify Dr. Teferi because, in my opinion, he may want to do some more research on that, on how Whole Foods plant-based can help with these types of cancers.
Yeah. Well, so Maureen, I know you mentioned at the very beginning that doctors don't know a lot about nutrition as far as treating disease. So our Western medicine is very focused on medications because there's there's a whole other reason by that. We're not going to get into that. However, I think that it's important to lean on people like Maureen and dietitians and people who have studied this. And there is a place for medicine. Obviously, you went to Mayo. I mean, that's amazing that you were able to have access to that kind of research and have access to that medication. But if it's not working, the fact that you were able to make very, very definitive scientific ways, right? Like you have numbers, you have blood work, you have this. It's not just, oh yeah, I think it's going to work, so I'm just going to try it. So I think that's where medicine is going. And it's pretty encouraging where someone like you who has some pretty significant issues, you can say, maybe you're going to be part of the next generation of medicine and nutrition working together in order to make people healthy. And that's amazing.
And there's a lot of evidence-based improvement with chronic diseases. If you would like more information, just reach out to me. If you want to know about heart issues or heart disease or diabetes or cancer, different types of cancer, reach out to me. I'll send you the evidence from PubMed, so you don't have to take it from me or anyone else. You can read it yourself, the scientific studies. So
absolutely. So unfortunately, Zoom is limiting us to 40 minutes. We have about 9 minutes left. I do want to share with everybody some actionable steps they can do in order to implement some things into their life. And I just wrote down some really quick things that you can do. I think it's important that anything you do cold turkey, where you say, okay, tomorrow I am 100% plant-based. If you do not have a well-stocked pantry, refrigerator, freezer, and knowledge base with a meal plan, you will last probably, if you're lucky, a week, because you cannot survive on just, lettuce and random things that you might have in your kitchen already. So that's what I want to bring, is that there are ways that you can set your pantry and your kitchen up for success. And I think everybody can do it. It is inexpensive. I know we're all on a budget. And there are things that you can splurge on outside of cooking for your family. But I think when it comes to nutrition, and you make it a priority. And that's what I've done for our family, is made it a priority. And maybe sacrificing one or two things that are high in sugar that you would spend $6 or $7 at Starbucks or wherever, or fast food. And you put that money into maybe buying an organic version of something that you used to buy non-organic, or whatever the case may be. And there are a lot of ideas out there. So if you're on this call right now and you're saying, oh yeah, well I have, this works for me. Wonderful. I am certainly not the authority on it. This is just what has worked for me and my family. And I think what's been important is I've done this gradually. So back in April, I went to the doctor. I had some, issues with my blood work, deficient in some things, minerals, vitamins. I thought, you know what, I can do this. I think we're given a lot of things in food that we can help feel better. I've had a lot of health issues in my 30s. In my 40s, I've been a lot healthier. And I think that's from that whole food mentality. So I just wanted to take it to the next level. And I thought, you know what, if I can cut out beef first. So that's what I did. I said, well, let's see how I'm going to feel. How's my digestion? Am I going to wake up with meat sweats in the middle of the night because I have a big steak? Well, then I started sleeping better. So I was like, oh, well, that's kind of cool. What if I cut out chicken? And then I kind of went down this trail of one thing at a time. And I think that might be smart for a lot of people who don't want to go cold turkey and just say, I'm cutting everything out. I had to give myself a lot of grace because I do like comfort food. Everybody likes Chick-fil-A fries, for the drive-thru and things like that. And that's okay. And there's no judgment in that. And I started to prioritize nutrient-dense foods instead of counting calories. I had come from a gym background where we counted macros and all kinds of calories and carbs and protein and all of this. And it just became an obsession, and weighing in and measuring and this and that. And it just didn't feel mentally healthy. And so, like Jody, I started listening to Claire Bartholic on the Planted Runner. Run to the Top is actually her podcast, and I started to train for a marathon this summer, and I thought, you know what, I want to feel better. I don't feel well. I could feel better. I feel good, but I don't feel well. And so that's when I started making those changes. So some of the things that I did that helped me, I started tracking my food consumption, and it wasn't to belittle myself at the end of the week and say, oh, well, I had this and that wasn't on whole food plant-based. No, it was so I could track how I was feeling. How was I sleeping? how were my runs going? How was I able to perform my strength workouts? They're pretty intense, an hour and a half sometimes. And if I was puttering out 45 minutes in, why? What was I doing? Could my nutrition maybe help me? So I started to change my pantry. I started stocking my pantry with things like, instead of white rice, I was putting things like millet, which has, it's high in protein and lower in the glycemic index where it's going to raise your blood sugar. I started making more beans. I started using fats like tahini instead of olive oil. I started using non-processed peanut butter instead of the processed peanut butter where they add oils to it. Just little changes, little by little, and I started to feel better. So I took the lead of Claire Bartholic on her podcast, and I started to kind of go down this road of whole food plant-based. And that's when I started following Maureen with Running with Bulldogs. And I thought, well, if I'm going to train for a marathon, I'm all in. I'm jumping in with both feet. I want to feel amazing. I don't want to just limp across and hope it works out. So I started prioritizing meal planning. Now, meal prep probably to a lot of people probably feels like I have a lot of people to cook for. What am I going to do? I can't cook every single night, and that's not the point. So tonight, actually, I did a whole pan of, I don't know if you can see this, did a whole pan of veggies. So you can see a whole pan of veggies. That's going to be a lot of meals. So a little bit of work for multiple meals. I stock my fridge and freezer. When I come home, I wash and chop all of my vegetables and sometimes even cook them right away because I'm in that mindset already. And I make sure my pantry has lots of good seasonings. Aldi is an amazing resource because they have very inexpensive things. And then my fridge and freezer, a milk alternative. Dairy has always been something for the last probably 10 years that I want to love it. I love the taste of it, but I just can't eat it. It does not agree with me, and I've tried every which way, digestive enzymes, everything, and I can't do it. So I found milk alternatives. Instead of using high-fat salad dressings, I use salsa and hot sauce. There's a lot of different ways you can substitute those things. So a couple of resources. Two. One is, well, let's see. So Forks Over Knives. Jody, I know you like this one. Forks Over Knives. There's a couple of recipes I'll share with you. And then also the No Meat Athlete. This has been a game changer for me. Because if you are active, I cannot recommend enough. These are the easiest, the quickest. Do not go on Pinterest and search vegan recipes. It will lead you down so many rabbit holes. It'll make your head spin and you'll quit. So if these are the two resources, if you're going to buy any book or follow anyone on social media or buy any of the resources, these are the two I'm going to recommend, but that's just me. Again, I'm not a health professional. This is just what's been in my life, completely doable. Let's see. So, okay, let's talk about breakfast. Breakfast is a big one because I know a lot of people, so in American culture, what do we eat? We eat sugar, high fat, bacon, eggs. Not that if you choose to eat that, I'm no judgment again. But for me, that was not working for me. It was not fueling me for what I needed to do throughout the day. So I started switching and swapping things out. So this is my oatmeal. I make oatmeal plain, right? I can make it savory. I can make it sweet with maple syrup, dried fruit, walnuts, a little bit of cinnamon. I can make it savory with all the flavors that I like. I have a lot of really great seasonings here. Even sometimes you can there's a brown rice. It's like you put it in the crock pot and it's like a brown, it's amazing. It tastes like porridge, but it's so filling, it's so warm. So there's a lot of different alternatives for breakfast. Avocado toast. I know, Maureen, you're a big fan of avocado toast. Ezekiel bread has been a game changer for me. And then let's see. Okay, so dinner. So when I do my meal prep, I get all my containers. So this size container is good for bowls where you are layering. So the No Meat Athlete suggests you do, this is very easy, it's 4 things. A grain, a bean, and then a spice blend. So if you have a whole pack of these, you're cooking once and you're eating multiple times. That is not the same meal. But if you cook a big pot of grains, whether it be millet, quinoa, brown rice, a mixture of all of them, that's your base. Now you can layer different beans, different proteins. Tempeh is a great option. I know, Maureen, you're a little bit sensitive to tofu. I have found that I cannot eat tofu 2 meals in a row. My body completely rejects it. I can get away with it every once in a while, but that is not my main go-to either. So they call it the double up method. So you are doubling up the ingredients, but not the effort. So same amount of effort, you're cooking the greens, you're cooking the vegetables, and then on top of that, you're putting maybe a raw vegetable, right? So you've got that crunch, you've got that satisfaction of a little bit of like a vinegar flavor from maybe a pickle or a pickled radish or a kimchi, something like that, a kraut, and then the spice blend. So I know a lot of people, they'll say, oh, the recipe calls for turmeric. I don't have turmeric. I don't like turmeric, or curry or whatever it is. Don't put it in there. The recipe is really a suggestion, and this is a method. This is not if I don't make everything just like the recipe says, I have failed. No, make it how you like it. This is supposed to be sustainable for a long time, not because in 28 days you have to, check all the boxes and then you're back to your old way of eating. So I like to cook a lot of different vegetables, but I try to, in fact, I have a few friends who call me the veggie police because I am. I feel very strongly about if there is a rainbow on your plate, you're probably headed in the right direction. It might not be a perfect plate every single time. That's okay. So if there's a green and then 2 other colors, you've got a carrot and you've got a red pepper, that's 2 other colors on your plate right there. And that is giving you vitamins, vital nutrients that you need to fuel your body. And then, so what I do for meal prep is I pick 2 main dishes. So maybe on a Sunday, like today's my downtime. Yesterday was a really hard run for me. I was mentally tired. I had to work yesterday. I was exhausted. I didn't feel like cooking. Today, a little bit more energy. Okay, I'm going to cook. I'm going to prep. Mentally, I had a little bit more stamina. So I got all my ingredients together. I have everything. So for your raw salads, things like that, mason jars are great. And then for storing your veggies and having things, I like this one. It has a divider here. So you have your grains on one side, your veggies on another side. You can dish out of there. And then, of course, for on the go, I was just chatting with a friend yesterday on our run. How do you cook for a family and you have a game or you have an activity at 6:00 at night? How do you avoid going through a drive-through? There's a lot of ways that we plan for other things in our life. We plan to make sure that we're headed out the door in the right time to make sure our kids are at school, or we make sure we plan in order to go to bed a little extra early so we feel rested in the morning because it's an early morning workout. All I would say is take a little bit of that and put it towards meal planning, and over time it'll become a habit. So it might feel a little bit like, oh, I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to meal plan and prep and do all this. You do. You just have to plan it. You just have to put it in your schedule. So if Sunday you have a little bit of extra time, or maybe Sunday is super busy, but Monday afternoon you come home and your kids don't have practice or there's nothing going on that night, take an hour and just prep everything and get it all ready. And involve your kids. Say, we're going to make some changes and we're doing this for your health and for our health as a family, and get them involved. Maybe your little ones want to rinse and, sort things, and your older ones can chop and cook things. So, Maureen, am I forgetting anything?
No, there's just so much information. It can be overwhelming.
It is overwhelming.
No, you're fantastic. I think you're giving some great tips for everyone. I think that's important. I would think. I mean, I'm like, can we do this weekly? Because can you cook something weekly? Because seriously, it's going to be.
Yeah, and one of the
There's
questions
so much
that I know
information.
is probably one of the most asked questions, Maureen, and we're up against the clock now. If you can just address for us the protein question. I think in America, in our culture, there is this fascination and almost
obsession.
A love affair with protein.
Yeah.
And we think we have to have all of this protein, and it's just not true. And I want people to understand that you can still get protein from plants, and it doesn't have to be from processed things like tempeh, and not processed, but doesn't have to come from things like
doesn't have to come
that
from
feels foreign to us. It can come from the regular things that are actually plants. So can you just really quickly kind of debunk that?
Oh, absolutely, and I'll be happy to share again some evidence-based links. You get protein from black beans, black-eyed peas, the potatoes, hazelnuts, almonds, oatmeal, chickpeas. I love Ezekiel bread. That's a source of protein. It just doesn't have processed. It has no sugar. I think if I can stress one thing tonight if you can change this, is read ingredients. Read your ingredients. If there's anything you can't pronounce, don't eat it. And if there's sugar in everything. They manufacture food to be addictive so that you will buy more. So if you read those ingredients, and I just want to say that because that is so important. But there's no protein deficient plant-based whole food person out there. And even if you're not doing it perfectly, there's none. And you know, I'm a runner, so I'm not deficient in it. It's just not possible. I think the only possible if you're worried about being deficient, we're eating crap, really. I mean, the standard American diet, everything that we put in our mouth, do you really think you're getting enough nutrition on a daily basis? I know I wasn't before I was eating this way. So, I mean,
Maureen?
Yes. Who called me?
If I can add something quick, actually our society as a whole is just so obsessed with getting protein. We're actually getting too much protein, and it's actually very hard on our kidneys.
So, I mean, it's not an issue with this type of eating at all. The only possible issues are B12 and vitamin D. And those are things we can talk about separately. Vitamin D and B12 are the only issues. And vitamin D, if you're outside a lot, you'll get it, but not if you keep yourself completely covered, obviously. So you may have to be on a supplement for that. And I take a vitamin B12 supplement myself.
So at the end of this, I am going to post links to those PDF files that Maureen talked about and some other resources. I think that just like we transition into a new way of thinking about food, sometimes it helps to kind of digest that slowly, mentally, by listening and reading things and kind of making one or two steps. So a couple of things that I can tell you that would be great to do right out of the gate would be to reduce your sugar. And then the other one would be just to prioritize nutrient-dense foods instead of processed foods. If those are the two things that you can just start doing, just being mindful about that, you will start to see huge improvements in the way you feel, your energy, sleep. And for me, brain fog. I had a really hard time with brain fog. Just feeling sluggish mentally. And that has really started to lift pretty quickly. In fact, I think I remember texting Maureen. I was like, this is kind of weird, but I have this like mental clarity, and I don't even understand it. Like, it's not from caffeine. It's not, And so if you just do two things, reduce sugar and processed foods, I think those are good motivators to continue down this road. And it might take you a year to start to transition. It might take you a month or longer. But we're here to help you. If you know me personally and you would rather, reach out to me, I can certainly help you with the actionable things that I do, but I don't have the certification to advise you on a nutrition plan like Maureen does. And then if you wanted to go ahead and join, Maureen has a group called Running with Bulldogs on Facebook. Just go ahead and I will link to that as well in this event. And then some of the things that we talked about, some of those books, The No Meat Athlete and Claire Bartholomew, The Planet Runner. There's another one, The Plant Based on a Budget. That's a Facebook group as well that has really great recipes and very, very inexpensive. I was pleasantly surprised. She's got some amazing recipes. So I appreciate everybody coming tonight, and I hope you learned something. I hope this makes you feel like you can do this, even if your family isn't 100% on board. But I think it's important as women that we take our health seriously. We want to be around for a long time for our family and friends and feel good and be healthy and not feel deprived of things. But we can do this. We want to do this. And I think it's important for us to support each other. So reach out with any questions and concerns, and let's just get healthy together. So do you want to add anything, Maureen?
No, I'm just sad because I don't think I recorded it.
Oh, no.
I think I forgot. I didn't ask. Did I ask? I don't think I asked.
I don't think so. That's okay. That's okay. Well, we will. I hope to make this a more than one-time event. I hope we can maybe do this again, where maybe we can have it open to where people can ask specific questions and we can kind of delve into more specific things. I just wanted to give everybody kind of a taste of what you had to offer and our experience and how it's helped us personally. So thank you guys so much for coming and sharing a little bit of your evening with us. And